Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Anointed Grace. I'm Hannah. Today we are going to be doing book reviews. Now, all of these books that I'm going to review have been provided to me courtesy of the authors via the Interviews and Reviews program. I will leave the link to that in the description box so you can go check it out if that's something that you're interested in yourself. Okay, so the very first book that I reviewed for Interviews and Reviews was a children's book called The Further Adventures in BarnTown by Eve Culley. This is what it looks like here. I read this on my Kindle app. It's one of the good things about Interviews and Reviews is that you can, most of the time they have more than one option on how to read your book. You can get your, the physical hardback book. You can get it on Kindle. There's a few other options, I believe, that you're able to get it on. But this one I got on my Kindle app. And being my first book to review, I didn't want to wait for it to come into the mail. I was ready to get started, get going, and reading and reviewing the books. Okay, so Further Adventures in BarnTown by Eve Culley. This book isn't inherently a Christian book, but it is a good family children's book to read to your little ones. Now the overview of it is that it is about Deputy Snipe. He is a cat, and he is in charge of BarnTown. And what he does is, when a problem arises in the BarnTown, like every day in the life type of situations that may occur on a farm, Deputy Snipe and his friends try to fix it. I found this book to be warm and funny, and I love the whimsy of the whole thing. And there is some editing that needed to be done, which I mentioned in my review, the written review that I did, but nothing to make it to where you wouldn't want to read it. Okay, now the last couple of chapters, the point of view of the story shifts from Deputy Snipe the cat to someone else. And for me, that kind of threw the story off a little bit, but all in all, very good. I think I gave it 4 stars. I do recommend it for parents or guardians who want to read to their children, their younger children. Now, because the chapters are a little longer and some of the words are a little more advanced, I would recommend it for children in the 7 to 10 age range who want to read it for themselves. Otherwise, it's great to read to younger children yourself. So that is that one. Further Adventures in BarnTown is the second in a series of books. I did not read the first one, but I did enjoy the second one, and there is a third one in the works, I do believe, which I will be reading that one too, because it's just funny. Also, personally, I live on a farm. I raise goats, we have chickens, we have dogs, we have, all that, horses, mules. And after reading this book, I look at them differently. I know that, God made all the critters, and He delights in them. And the good thing is that He allows us to delight in them also. And I do that. And after reading this story, when I go to milk my goat, I'm always thinking, okay, Annie, what kind of problems are you facing today, and how are you going to fix them? But it was just really enjoyable, and I recommend it. Okay, the second book that I reviewed is Bridgers, a Parable by Angie Thompson. I also got this one on my Kindle app, so it is it's fictional. It's a book for young adults. It is based on the parable of the Good Samaritan. And this book has a lot of real life issues that our youth face today. It has gang violence. It has, overcoming situations, peer pressure, drug and alcohol use, and how to overcome those things, and how you can walk a life even though those things are around you. You can still walk with Jesus apart from all that. Okay, So the story is focused on two different boys. One is from the right side of the tracks. He's kind of a preppy Christian, does everything right type of person. And the other one is from the wrong side of the tracks, who is beginning to know the Lord and trying to walk it out despite despite where he lives and the situations that occur around him. Okay. One of the parts that I really loved about this book is that it points out one of the traps that new young believers can fall into, which is, getting an air of superiority about yourself once you become a Christian, and how much that is just, it's a turn off to Jesus, but it's also a turn off to unbelievers. And how are you going to influence people to Christ if they don't want what you're selling? So I really like that about this. I gave this book 5 stars. I liked it that much. And afterwards, I bought 4 copies to give to the youth in my life. I got nieces and nephews and, their friends and things like that. So this book impacted me so much to buy these other copies to give to other people, because it's just, I believe it'll benefit their lives, and it talks to them in a way that they will understand. And it's not all frilly, how this is a Christian life and it's all warm and fuzzy and balloons and cotton candy. No, it's hard, and this book talks about real life things that can happen when you're a believer, and how to overcome them through Jesus Christ, and how other people can come along beside you and help you on your journey. Thank God for His grace. Okay, I do want to mention that when you review books, like being a part of Interviews and Reviews, Christian Network, I do want to encourage other people that if they do receive a book that speaks to them and benefits them spiritually, and they just want to go share it with others, I recommend that you actually buy your own copy, and buy a couple copies for the other people in your life if you want to, because not only will that help the author who worked really hard to write it, and of course they send it to you for free to review, but anyway, not only will it help the author get their name out there and financially help them, but also, you can give those books to other people, and that can help as well. So, the next one I want to talk about is called Growing Confidently in Your Faith. I actually have the hard copy of this one. Now, the first 2 that I got on my Kindle app, and after reading them, I was just like, something's missing. What is it? And it's just that I'm an old-fashioned girl, and there's just something about, holding the book in your hands. There's nothing like the smell of new paper, new books. That's not weird at all. So then I started just getting the hard copies of the books, and I really enjoyed that. Okay, so this book, Growing Confidently in Your Faith, A Lifelong Journey to Becoming More Like Jesus, by Miss Carol Round. Shout out to my Oklahoma girl. This is a devotional. It's a week-by-week devotional, and I liked it. It is easy to understand. Let me show you. Yeah, I highlight stuff. Thought there was questions. There is questions. Yeah. Okay, so it's a week-by-week devotional, and at the end of each week it gives you questions to reflect on, and I struggled with this book. By the way, let me just first mention that this was a Book of the Month winner, and so go Miss Round, that was pretty good, but I had a struggle reading this, and I know that it's because it's a devotional, and it's not meant to be read through, like speed reading through so I can get to the review. It wasn't meant to be read that way. That's why I had a hard time with it. So, after I finished reading it, I went ahead and made the commitment to myself that yes, in fact, when the time is right, I will go back and read this as it is intended to be read week by week and continue on that way. So, even though I struggled with it, I gave it a pretty good rating. I started, okay, it's easy to understand, it's well written, it's well organized. Just while I was reading it, I just kind of felt that I had seen some of these things being talked about before, so it wasn't like a new, exciting type of thing. But I gave it 4 stars, and I do plan to reread this at the start of the year, perhaps, like it was intended to be read. So even though I struggled with it, I do recommend it for other people to be read as a devotional. Don't try to speed read it because it'll just throw you off, which is what I did. Anyway, okay, so that's it for now. I do plan on talking about the other 3 books that I've already read and reviewed in part 2 of this. So if you enjoy it, check it out, hit subscribe, like it, and I'll see you later.